Hey everyone, welcome to part 10 in my tutorial on AvP mapping. In this tutorial I'm going to go over how to make animated textures. And from here I'm going to assume that you have a basic understanding of all of the elements that I talked about in the previous 9 videos. So I've made 3 new textures. We're going to be animating 2 of those in this tutorial here. So I'm going to be turning these into rim files and adding them to the map. Going forward I'm going to be going through these quite a bit faster, the easy elements that I've gone over. I'm going to be taking this quite a bit faster than before. So I'm not going to be necessarily explaining everything to you if I've already explained it in a previous video. Now that I've made the rim files, I'm going to need to add it to the example riff. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. So the first thing I wanted to do was fix the lighting mistake that happened from the module linking of the light not turning up on the weapon view model when you stand in this room over here. So I'm just going to make sure that these guys are linked. Okay. What I've also done is I've added a bit of geometry, so I may be doing some more stuff off screen. For example, this wall is now going to look a little bit different, and I'll show you why in just a second. I've also added a little square over here, which we're going to be starting with animations. Now, you can do animations in a number of different ways. The first way I'm going to show you is adding an on-off switch. So we're going to have one polygon, which is going to be represented by an off panel, and we're going to make this a switch so that when you press it, it's going to turn to an on panel. So this is going to be our off state. To create an animation, go to Anim, click Create, and then you're going to see this pop up in the corner here. For an on-off state, we're just going to have 2 states, right? We're going to add a sequence. So go over to sequence, click add, and now the sequence has gone to 1. Press tab, shift this over, or you can use a different texture entirely. I could have just used a different texture if I wanted to, but decided to just put in the same texture and make sure that it looks good. You can press tab to go out, and then you can do this. Next and previous, and you can see that it's just the same texture, but like that. Okay, so I'm going to exit and save, and then go right back over here. So it will have saved the animation. I'm going to click this, click U, and now I'm going to drag the coordinates so that this will look like the sides. I'm going to be using the side texture over here. It'll be slightly stretched, but won't look too bad. Okay, and now for this side over here. This is going to use a little bit of the bluer, so I'm pressing tab. I'm going to drag these nodes over into this side. Okay, so this side is a little bit on the bluer. And then this, we can just, again, copy coordinates from that. Okay, now we actually have to make this switch have a function. So now that we've textured it and we've given it an animation, we're going to save the changes. If it's not an object already, you're going to have to convert it into an object. Go to strategy mode. And we're going to assign it the strategy of a multi-switch, just like we did for the other switch that we pulled down. And this one, we're going to say activates these 2 doors. So the targets are the doors. Now we're going to have to change the strategy on these doors so that they are locked when you begin. going to leave strategy mode, and now we are going to move the player spawn point over into this room, so that we are going to be starting in this room. And we're going to turn it so it is facing the correct direction. If you're having trouble selecting it, then just select by name, as I was over there. And also you'll note that after being in strategy mode, sometimes the objects turn white. That just happens sometimes. Okay, we're going to save. Now we're going to create a different type of animated texture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a computer screen. First of all, I'm going to change the texture out for this so that it has some borders. And I'm going to select this texture over here. And I'm going to fill the entire screen with that over here. Before I forget, I'm going to need to add the no light flag so it's self-lit. All right, and now we're going to be beginning to create the animation of a scrolling computer screen. So what you're going to want to do is set it to an extra unit. So this is 2 by 1, and we're going to do the same thing. Anim create. Now we're going to be adding frames, and this is going to be a scrolling texture. You texture how you want, and then you do the same thing we did for sequence. We're going to add, but now we're going to add a frame. And you can see it's gone to frame 1, which is actually the second frame. And this is going to be moving. We're going to bring this over to 31. So I'm going to check the particular coordinate over there. And then we're going to go in 32 pixel intervals. So we're going to add another frame. Next one is 63. So we're going to check and make sure that it's precise. Press tab to get out of that. Add another frame. 95 is the next one. Going to add and go to 127. Now if you know your dimensions, you should start to see why we're doing this way. 127 is 1 below 128. And that means that for this 256 by 256 texture, we're going to be finishing at 255. Okay, this is the last one. We're not going to finish at 256, we're going to finish at 255. Okay. Now I press tab one last time, and now we can play. But we're going to see there's an issue. It's scrolling, but it's not scrolling ideally, right? It's just kind of jumping between the frames. So what we do is we go over to Anim again, and now we're going to change the properties of this sequence to interpolate, and also no interp from last to first. And what we can do over here is we can have the frames per second, 1 and 3, for example. Let's play that. Interpolation means that it is going to smoothly scroll across the texture. And no interp from the last to the first means it's going to jump. So it's not going to scroll all the way back. It's just going to jump quickly to back to the first one. So that way it's just going to cycle again when it repeats. So we're not going to notice any abrupt change back. So hopefully that's clear enough. Going to save the changes. Okay, now we're going to check it out in game. All right, so we've got a computer screen over here. The doors don't open. And now we're going to check this to make sure that when we press use on it, it's going to go light. All right, perfect. So we have a functioning switch. and 2 different types of animated textures. So hopefully that was informative. I will see you in the next video where we're going to talk about adding water and death pits. So I'll see you there.